Hello and welcome back to our deep dive.
But today, we are talking about the biological cell, the living cell.
The living cell. Okay, so start me off with the biggest, simplest question. What is it? What exactly is a cell? Is it kind of like that battery idea, a battery for a toy?
You know, that's a really fun guess, and in a way, it does have a lot to do with energy, so you're not far off. But let's try a different picture.
Okay.
I want you to imagine a house, a big brick house. Can you picture one?
Yeah, okay. I'm picturing a big old red brick house, maybe with some ivy growing on it.
Perfect. Now, if I asked you, what is that house made of? What's the most basic thing you would say?
I'd say it's made of bricks.
Exactly. The house is this huge, complicated thing, but it's really just made of thousands and thousands of small, simple bricks all stacked together.
Right, one after another.
Now think about your body, or a pet dog, or the tree outside your window.
Okay.
You are the house, and the cells are the bricks.
So I'm made of living bricks.
You are made of living bricks. That's a great way to put it. The cell is what scientists call the fundamental unit of life.
Whoa, okay, that sounds a little fancy.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But all it means, really, is that it's the smallest part of you that is actually alive.
The smallest part that's alive. Huh. That's interesting. So, like, if I cut off a tiny piece of my hair, is that alive?
Well, the long part of your hair that you see is actually made of dead material. But the root, deep down in your skin where it grows from, that part is made of living cells. Anything that is truly, truly alive, anything that eats and breathes and grows, it's all made of cells.
Okay, I think I get the brick analogy. That makes sense. But here's my next question. If I look at that brick house, I can see the bricks. I can even count them if I get close.
Right.
But when I look at my hand, I don't see any little bricks. I just see skin. It looks smooth.
And that's because they're small.
Unbelievably
Small.
How small are we talking?
Okay. Picture a single grain of sand from the beach. You know how tiny that is, right?
Yeah, it's basically nothing.
You could fit thousands of your cells on that one little grain of sand.
Thousands. Wow. Okay, so if they're that tiny, how in the world do we know they're there? Did someone just, like, guess that we're made of tiny things?
That's the perfect question. No, we didn't guess. We had to discover them. And this brings us to a really, really cool story. We need to do a little time travel.
I love a good time travel story. Where are we going?
We're going way back to the year 1665.
1665. Okay. So no electricity, no internet. People are probably wearing wigs and funny hats.
Exactly. And in England, there was a man named Robert Hooke. He was a scientist and inventor. Just a very, very curious person. He loved to figure out how things worked.
I like him already.
And he built one of the first powerful microscopes.
Now, when you say microscope, I'm picturing the kind from my school, you know, the white metal ones.
Not even close. This was 1665. His microscope was this beautiful thing made of, I think, gold and leather. It looked more like a fancy telescope that you point down.
Wow.
It was very simple. You use sunlight bounced off a mirror or maybe an oil lamp to light things up. But it worked. It could make things look much bigger.
So what did he look at with it?
Oh, everything. He was so curious. He looked at the sharp tip of a needle. He drew a famous picture of a flea that he saw through it. But the most important thing he looked at, for our story, was a piece of cork.
Cork? You mean like the stopper you pull out of a wine bottle?
That's exactly it. Cork comes from the bark of a type of oak tree.
Huh.
So Robert Hooke took a very sharp knife and he sliced off a piece of cork that was as thin as a piece of paper.
Okay.
Then he put that super thin slice under his new microscope.
And what did he see?
Well, he probably expected to see something smooth, you know, just a solid piece of stuff. But he didn't.
What was there?
He saw shapes. He saw rows and rows and rows of little empty boxes.
Little boxes.
Yes. He wrote that it looked a lot like a honeycomb. You know how a honeycomb has all those little six-sided holes?
Yeah, where the bees keep the honey.
Right. And when Robert Hooke saw all these little boxes, they reminded him of something.
What was that?
They reminded him of the small, simple rooms that monks lived in at a monastery.
Monks. Like religious men in a quiet building.
Exactly. In a monastery, each monk has a very small, plain room. And back in those days, those little rooms were called cells.
Oh, no way. So that's it. That's where the word comes from.
That is the big aha moment.
Yeah.
He looked at the little boxes and the cork and said, "These look like little rooms." He called them cells.
That's an amazing story. So he just looked at a piece of wood, basically, saw some little empty rooms, and gave them a name.
That's it. But there was one very important little detail. One catch.
Okay, what's the catch?
The cork that Robert Hooke looked at was from a tree, but it was dead tree bark. So he didn't see anything alive. He just saw the empty walls of the room. The room was empty. He was looking at the little skeletons of the cells.
So he saw the shape, but not the life inside.
Precisely. It wasn't until a few years later that another scientist, a man in Holland named Anton van Leeuwenhoek, he made even better microscopes.
Okay.
And he looked at a drop of pond water.
Pond water, that sounds kind of gross.
It probably was a little gross.
Yeah.
But when he looked at that single drop of water, he saw things moving. He described them as little animalcules swimming and dancing around.
Wow.
That was the very first time a human being ever saw a living single cell.
That must have been completely shocking to just look at a boring drop of water and suddenly see a whole tiny universe inside it.
It changed science forever. It meant that life was happening all around us in places we could never ever see before.
Okay, so let's do a quick review, just for me. Who is the first person to see and name the cell?
That was Robert Hooke.
And what does the word cell actually mean? What did he think of?
He thought of a little room.
I love that. Little room. It makes it sound so much friendlier, not like a scary science word.
It is friendly. It's the little room where all the business of being alive happens.
So going back to our brick house, a big house has thousands of bricks. You said I'm made of cells. So do I have thousands of them? Or maybe millions?
You have way, way more than that. You don't have thousands or millions. You have trillions.
Trillions with a T.
Yes.
Yeah.
Trillions. The number is so big, it's hard for our brains to even picture it. You're not just a brick house. You are a massive city made of trillions of tiny living bricks.
A city. I like that. But wait, is everything alive a giant city?
That's a great point. No, not every living thing is big and complicated like you.
What do you mean?
Well, remember that pond water, the little swimming things?
Yeah.
Some of those creatures are very, very simple. Some living things are made of just one single cell.
Just one. The whole creature is just one single brick.
The whole entire creature. It's born, it eats, it moves, and it dies. All is one single cell. We have a name for them. We call them unicellular.
Unicellular. Okay, I think I can break that word down. Uni means one, right? Like a unicycle has one wheel.
You're natural at this, yes. Unicellular means one-celled.
So what's an example of something that's just one cell?
Well, most bacteria are unicellular, and there's a very famous one that you might have heard of in school called the amoeba.
The amoeba. I have heard of that. Isn't that the one that's like a blob?
Yes, it's the blob. Imagine a tiny, tiny little balloon filled with jelly. It doesn't have a fixed shape. It just sort of flows and oozes along.
And that's a living thing.
That little blob is one single cell, and it is completely alive. It can hunt for food. It can move away from danger. It does everything it needs to do to survive, all within that one little room.
That is pretty impressive for just one cell. So if the amoeba is unicellular, that's the word for me, with my trillions of cells.
You are multicellular.
Multicellular. Okay, multi means many, like multimedia.
Exactly. Humans, dogs, fish, trees, mushrooms.
Yeah.
Almost everything you can see with your eyes is multicellular. We are all giant teams of cells working together.
So in my body, in my cell city, are all my cells the same? Are they all just identical red bricks?
No, and that is the real magic of being multicellular, because you have so many cells, they can specialize, they can take on different jobs.
Different jobs.
Think about a real city. You don't just have one type of person, right? You have firefighters and bakers and bus drivers and doctors. They all look different and do different things to make the city work.
Right, that makes sense.
Your cells are exactly the same. They have different shapes and sizes because they have different jobs to do. They are specialists.
Can you give me an example?
Sure. Let's think about the cells in your brain and your nerves. Their job is to send messages very fast over long distances, like a telephone wire.
Okay, sending messages.
So what shape do you think would be good for a telephone wire?
Well, a wire is. It's long and thin.
Yes, and that's what nerve cells look like. They are very, very long and skinny with little branches at the end to connect to other cells. They look like tiny trees or strings.
Okay, that makes sense. The shape helps it do its job. What about another one?
What about your red blood cells? Their job is to carry oxygen all around your body. They have to squeeze through tiny, tiny little blood vessels.
So they need to be small and flexible.
Exactly. They're small and they're shaped like little round discs that are kind of squishy so they can bend and fit through tight spaces.
The shape matches the job. I get it.
It does. Your skin cells are flat and packed together like tiles on a floor to make a protective wall. Your muscle cells are long and stretchy so they can pull and make you move.
This is so cool. I have a fun question, though. You said they're all tiny. Is there any cell anywhere that's big, like big enough for me to see without a microscope?
That's a fantastic question. And the answer is yes.
Really? There is?
Yes, and it's something you may have eaten for breakfast this morning.
Wait, I ate a giant cell for breakfast. What are you talking about?
An egg.
An egg? You mean like a chicken egg?
The yolk of a chicken egg, before it's fertilized, is one single giant cell.
You're kidding me. The whole yellow part.
The whole yellow part, it's true. And the biggest single cell on Earth today is the egg of an ostrich.
An ostrich egg? But those are huge. They're like the size of a small football.
And that entire thing is one single cell.
That completely blows my mind. I always thought that the rule was cells are microscopic. Period.
Most are. But every once in a while, nature likes to show off and break the rules.
Okay, so we know they can be one or many. We know they can have different shapes. But now I want to go inside. Let's go into the little room. If I could shrink down, like in a sci-fi movie, and walk inside one of my cells, what would I see?
Ah, that's my favorite part. Let's take a tour.
Let's do.
To make this as easy as possible, I want you to keep picturing that cell as a tiny, busy factory. Or maybe a tiny country with borders and a government.
A factory? I like that. It's busy. Things are happening.
Exactly. And in this factory, there are lots of different machines and workers. But almost every animal cell, whether it's in you or a fly, has three main parts you need to know first.
Just three. Okay, good. I can remember three things.
The first part is the outside wall of the factory, the skin. We call this the cell membrane.
Cell membrane. Okay.
Sometimes you'll hear it called the plasma membrane, but cell membrane is easier to remember.
So what does this membrane do? Is it just like a plastic bag to hold all the stuff inside so it doesn't spill out?
It definitely holds everything together, yes.
Yeah.
But it is so much more important than just a bag. Let's call it the bodyguard.
The bodyguard. Ooh, I like that. Like a security guard at a nightclub?
Exactly like that.
Yeah.
Imagine a factory with a very strict security guard standing at the main gate. The guard has a list.
Okay.
And he looks at everything trying to come in. The guard might say, okay, water, you're on the list. Come on in. We need you inside. Or, food molecules. Yep, you're good. Go on in.
But what if something bad tries to get in? Like a virus or a poison?
The bodyguard looks at it and says, nope, you are not on the list. You must stay out. It is very, very selective.
So it actually picks and chooses who gets in and who doesn't.
Precisely. Scientists have a big fancy phrase for this. They say the membrane is selectively permeable.
Whoa. Okay, that's a mouthful. Selectively. Permeable.
It sounds hard, but let's break it down. Selective means it chooses.
Right.
And permeable just means things can pass through it, like rain can permeate a thin jacket.
So it chooses what passes through.
You got it. It's a picky gatekeeper. It lets good things in, like oxygen and nutrients, and just as important, it lets the bad things out.
Out? Like what?
Well, the factory makes waste, right?
Garbage.
Carbon dioxide. The cell needs to get rid of its trash. So the bodyguard opens the gate and pushes the garbage out.
So if the membrane broke, the cell would be in big trouble.
Huge trouble. It would either starve because it couldn't get food in, or it would fill up with its own trash and die. The bodyguard is essential.
Okay, part one. The membrane is the bodyguard. Got it. What's part two?
Part two is the most important part inside. If the cell is a factory, who's in charge? Who runs the whole show?
The boss. The factory manager.
The boss, correct. Every factory needs a main office, a control center. In the cell, the boss is called the nucleus.
The nucleus. I think I remember seeing that in diagrams. It's always that dark little ball in the middle, right?
Usually, yes.
Yeah.
It's often right in the center, and it is the absolute control center. It's the brain of the cell.
So what does the boss, the nucleus, actually do all day? Does it just shout orders?
Laughs. Not quite. The nucleus's main job is to protect something incredibly precious. It holds the secret instructions for the entire factory.
Instructions. Like a blueprint.
Exactly like a blueprint. It holds the DNA.
DNA. I hear about that all the time on crime shows. The police found the suspect's DNA at the scene.
Right. And that's because your DNA is unique to you. It's like a giant recipe book. And this book has every single recipe for making you.
Every recipe?
Yes. It has the recipe for your eye color, the recipe for how tall you are, the recipe for making a skin cell or a heart cell. It tells the cell what job to do and how to do it.
So the nucleus is like the secure library where the super important recipe book is kept safe.
That's a perfect analogy. The DNA recipe book is the most important thing in the cell, so you can't let it get damaged. The nucleus acts like a vault, protecting it. And then it reads pages from the book and sends out copies of the instructions to the rest of the factory.
Okay, that makes total sense. So we have the bodyguard, the membrane on the outside. We have the boss, the nucleus, in the middle. What's filling all the space in between them?
That is the third main part. You asked earlier, is the cell empty like a balloon?
Yeah, is it just filled with air?
No, it's not air. If your cells were filled with air, you'd probably float away.
Okay, that would be a problem.
The inside of the cell is filled with a thick, jelly-like fluid. It's mostly water, but it has a lot of other stuff in it. We call this the cytoplasm.
Cytoplasm.
You could think of cyto, meaning cell, and plasm, meaning stuff.
The cell stuff?
The cell jelly.
Yeah, cell jelly. I like that. It fills up the entire factory floor. It surrounds the nucleus and pushes up against the membrane.
And what's the jelly's job? Does it do anything?
It does two main things. First, it gives the cell its shape and keeps everything cushioned. All the little machines of the factory are floating safely in this jelly. Second, a lot of the chemical reactions, the work of the factory, happen right there in the jelly. Okay, so let me see if I can summarize the big three, just to make sure I've got it.
Please go ahead.
Okay. Number one, you have the cell membrane, that's the bodyguard on the outside, controlling what comes in and out.
Perfect.
Number two, you have the nucleus. That's the boss or the brain in the middle holding the DNA recipe book.
Yep.
And number three, there's the cytoplasm. That's the jelly that fills up all the space and holds everything together.
You've got it. That's an A+ summary.
Yes. But wait, Aniket. A real factory isn't just walls, a boss's office, and a floor. A factory needs machines on the floor to actually do the work.
That is a very, very smart observation. You are absolutely right. The cytoplasm isn't just empty jelly. Floating around in that jelly are all the little machines and workers. We call them organelles.
Organelles. That's a fun word. It sounds a lot like the word organ.
It does, and for a good reason. Think about your body. You have big organs, right? Your heart, your lungs, your stomach. They all do a specific job. Well, a cell is like a miniature body, so it has miniature organs. The LL at the end of a word just means small or little. So organelle literally means little organ.
That's actually kind of cute. Little baby organs floating around in the cell jelly?
They're the little workers of the factory. And there are a few really important ones we should meet. The first one is probably the most famous.
Oh, which one is that?
The mitochondria.
Oh, I actually know this one. This is the one sentence everyone remembers from biology class. The mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell.
Yes, that's the one. It's famous for a reason. But what does that actually mean? What is a powerhouse?
I'm guessing it makes power? Like an electrical plant for the factory?
Exactly. You can think of the mitochondria as the powerhouse or the battery or the generator for the cell factory.
Okay, so how does it make power?
Well, you eat food, right?
Yeah.
You eat an apple or a piece of bread. Your body breaks that food down into tiny sugar molecules. But the cell can't use sugar directly as energy. It's like trying to put crude oil in your car. You have to refine it first.
Ah, I see.
The mitochondria are the refineries. They take those tiny sugar molecules and using oxygen, they burn them in a very controlled way to create a special high-energy fuel for the cell.
So it turns my lunch into usable power for my cells.
Precisely. It creates this energy molecule called ATP, but you can just think of it as cell electricity. Without the mitochondria, the factory would go dark. All the machines would stop.
So when I go for a run, my muscle cells' mitochondria are working overtime.
They are working incredibly hard. They are burning fuel like crazy to give your muscles the power to move.
Wow. Okay, so mitochondria equals the powerhouse. What other little organs are in there?
Well, let's think about our factory again. It's busy. It's making things. What else does a busy factory produce?
Products, but also trash, waste.
Right. Broken parts, leftover materials, garbage. If you just let the trash pile up on the factory floor, what would happen?
It would get messy and disgusting, and eventually no one could work. It would clog up the machines.
Exactly. The cell would get sick and die. So the cell has its own cleanup crew. These are called the lysosomes.
Lysosomes.
Think of lysosomes as the garbage trucks or the recycling center of the cell.
Okay, the cleanup crew. I like that.
They're little bubbles, little sacs floating around in the cytoplasm. But inside these bubbles, they hold very powerful digestive juices, strong chemicals like acids.
Acid. Inside my cells.
Yes, but it's safely contained inside the lysosome's membrane. So if the cell eats some food, or if there's a broken down old part, or even if a bad bacteria gets inside,
Yeah.
the lysosome will merge with it and release its juices. It completely melts down the trash into simple little pieces that the cell can either reuse or spit out.
So it literally eats the garbage.
It eats the garbage. It keeps the cell clean and tidy.
That is extremely useful.
It is. But here's a kind of scary but cool fact about them. Sometimes scientists call lysosomes suicide bags.
Whoa. That got dark really fast. Why on earth would they call it?
Okay, imagine a cell gets really, really sick.
Yeah.
Maybe it gets a virus or gets so damaged that it can't be fixed. It becomes a danger to the rest of the body.
Okay.
The cell can actually decide that it's time to self-destruct for the greater good.
Seriously?
Yes. It sends a signal, and the lysosomes inside that cell will all pop open at once.
And all that acid.
Spills out into the whole cell. It digests the entire cell from the inside out, turning it into mush that other cells can clean up.
That is incredible. The cell sacrifices itself to protect the rest of the city.
It does. It's a key part of how our bodies stay healthy.
So we have the powerhouse, the mitochondria, and the garbage truck, the lysosome. Are there any other really important workers?
Well, the factory has to actually build things, right?
Yeah.
It needs assembly lines.
What does a cell build?
The main thing it builds is protein. Proteins are the building blocks and the machines of your body. Your hair is protein, your muscles are protein, the enzymes that digest your food are proteins.
Okay, so protein is super important.
It is. And the little workers that build the proteins are called ribosomes.
Ribosomes.
They're like tiny little dots, the smallest workers in the factory. They get the instruction copies from the nucleus and they read them, and then they stick the building blocks together to make a protein.
Simple enough. Ribosomes build protein.
And very often, these little ribosomes sit on a big network of folded membranes. It's a huge, long word. The endoplasmic reticulum.
Endoplasmic reticulum. That is definitely the biggest word we've used today.
It is enormous. Everyone just calls it the ER.
The ER, like
Yep.
the TV show about the hospital.
Yes, like the emergency room. Just think of the ER in the cell as the transport system. It's like a huge series of roads or conveyor belts that crisscross the whole cell.
Okay.
So the ribosomes sit on these ER roads to make the proteins, and then the ER helps to fold them correctly and sends them off to where they need to go. It's the highway system of the cell.
So that's our animal cell factory. The bodyguard, the boss, the jelly, the powerhouse, the garbage truck, and the workers on the highway.
That's a pretty solid team, isn't it?
It is. But that brings me to another question.
Oh, good. I like questions.
Do you think a plant, like a big oak tree outside, does it have the exact same kind of cells as I do?
That's a good question. I mean, a tree is alive, so it must have cells. They must be similar. But a tree is also very, very different from me.
How so?
Well, it's green. It has leaves. It can't walk around. It just stands there.
Yeah.
So I'm going to guess that their cells are a little bit different.
You are spot on. A plant cell is very similar in many ways. It has a nucleus, it has mitochondria, it has a membrane.
Yeah.
But because a plant lives such a different life from an animal, its cells need a few special tools that our cells don't have.
Special tools? What kind?
Let's play a game of spot the difference. There are 3 big differences. The first one is all about protection.
Protection.
If a big dog comes running at you, what can you do?
I can run away or climb a tree. Exactly. You can move to protect yourself. Can a tree run away from a storm?
No.
Can a little flower hide from a deer that wants to eat it?
No, it's just stuck there. It has to take whatever comes.
Right. Plants are stuck in one place, so they need extra armor. They need to be tough.
Okay, so what's the armor?
Outside of their normal cell membrane, the bodyguard plant cells build another layer, a thick, hard, strong layer called the cell wall.
A cell wall. That sounds pretty sturdy.
It is incredibly sturdy. Imagine you have a soft, wobbly water balloon. That's the animal cell with its membrane. Now imagine putting that balloon inside a strong cardboard box. The box is the cell wall.
So every single plant cell is living inside its own little box.
Yes. And this hard wall is what makes plants rigid. It's what lets them stand up straight and tall against gravity and wind. It's why wood is hard.
And animals, we don't have this wall.
We do not.
Why not? I wouldn't mind having some extra armor.
Well, if all of your cells were inside rigid boxes, you'd be stiff like a tree. You couldn't bend your arm or run or dance. We traded the safety of the wall for the freedom of movement.
Ah, I see. That's a good trade. I like being able to move. So, difference number 1, the cell wall. Plants have it, we don't.
Correct. Okay, difference number 2. This one is about food. When you're hungry, what do?
I go to the kitchen and make a sandwich. Or go to a restaurant. I have to find food.
Exactly. Animals have to eat other living things to get energy. Have you ever seen a tree eating a sandwich?
No, I have not.
So how do plants get their food?
They use the sun, right? Something with the sun.
Yes, plants are amazing chemical chefs. They can do something no animal can do. They can cook their own food using sunlight.
And how do they do that? Do they have a special machine for it?
They have a special organelle for it, yes. A little machine called the chloroplast.
Chloroplast.
You can think of the chloroplasts as the little kitchens inside the plant cell.
The kitchens. Okay.
And these little kitchens are green. They are filled with a green chemical, a pigment called chlorophyll. And that chemical is what gives plants their green color.
Oh. So when I look at a green leaf, the green color is from all these millions of tiny little kitchens packed inside the cells.
That is exactly right. And inside those green kitchens, the plant performs a process called photosynthesis. That's just a fancy word that means making things with light.
And we definitely do not have chloroplasts.
Nope. If we did, we'd probably be green, and we wouldn't have to worry about grocery shopping. We could just stand outside on a sunny day to get our energy.
That actually sounds kind of nice and relaxing.
It might be. So that's cell walls and chloroplasts. There is one more big difference between plant and animal cells, and it's all about storing water.
Water.
Yes, plants need a lot of water. If you forget to water your houseplant for a few days, what happens to it?
It wilts. It gets all droopy and sad looking.
Exactly. Why do you think it droops? What's happening inside?
It's thirsty, I guess. It doesn't have enough water.
Right. And inside each plant cell, there is a giant storage tank for water. It's a huge organelle called a vacuole.
Vacuole.
In a mature plant cell, this vacuole is enormous. It can take up almost the whole middle of the cell, pushing everything else to the side. It's like a giant water balloon inside the cell box.
Okay.
When the plant gets plenty of water, that tank fills up completely. And when it's full and firm, it pushes out against the cell wall. That pressure is what makes the plant stiff and strong.
So a happy watered plant stands up straight because its cells are full of water.
Yes. But when the plant starts to dry out, water leaves that tank. The giant water balloon starts to deflate.
And the whole plant sags and wilts.
Exactly. Now, animal cells can have vacuoles too, but they are very, very small. We don't need them to hold up our bodies. Plants have the giant ones because water pressure is part of their skeleton.
That makes perfect sense. So when I bite into a crunchy piece of celery or lettuce,